So what should you look for in a great string for playing metal? So first, many different string companies will work great for playing metal, but there are certain things I think you need to look for and experiment with in order to figure out exactly what you like and what will get you the best results. The first thing is be ready to have to spend a little bit more on the higher end packs of guitar strings, especially when you're recording. I found that a really nice bright set of strings works best in this genre because you're going to get a nice bright clear tone either directly into your amp or if you're recording direct and then using like a virtual amp simulator. I've used like neural DSP products for my own original music as well as my guitar reviews that I've made and have found that upgrading those strings really does make a big difference in getting, especially when it comes to a rhythm guitar tone, a nice tight rhythm guitar tone. Old, dirty, or just not as bright strings tend to sound duller and lifeless and then not translate as well in this genre. If you're a jazz guitar player or a blues guitar player or maybe even a country guitar player, maybe a slightly less bright set of strings makes sense, but something that's nice and bright really makes a difference here in my opinion. I found when I'm tracking, my goal the whole time is that it's gotta sound great right in the recording process. If you're not getting the tone that you're looking for, you're not going to be able to like polish that turd into the sound that you're hearing. Obviously, the microphone placement on the speaker cabinet makes a huge difference here as well as how you're processing your tracks, how you're EQing them, how you're saturating them, whatever it is that you're doing to treat them. But good strings really does make a huge difference here. I made the mistake with my band's first record playing cheaper sets of strings, and there's many different reasons why I wasn't happy with how my guitars turned out on our very first record versus the other guitar players' guitars on our first record, but the strings were definitely a large part of it for me. Now, I've seen some comments through the years where people have asked about what if you just put an EQ in front of your signal before you hit the amp in order to get that same sort of brightness, like wouldn't that just do the same sort of thing? And I would highly recommend against doing something like that. I think what you're going to discover by doing something like that is you're going to raise the noise floor and cause more problems than what it's worth. Getting a good signal right off of the source is always number one in the studio and in a recording situation, in my opinion. You're always going to get better results with that, not trying to add some sort of artificial boost or something. I think you're going to be hard pressed to get those kind of richer overtones that a better, brighter string is going to produce. I'd also highly recommend experimenting with different string gauges, regardless of tuning of your instrument. So metal, especially modern metal, is known for extended range instruments, 7-string, 8-string, even 9-string guitars, so experimenting early and often in finding a set of strings and a gauge of strings that works well with your tuning is very important. Even if you're in standard tuning, I would recommend trying different gauges of strings. Maybe try to mix it up, go with a slightly heavier bottom, or maybe a slightly heavier top, maybe go with a balanced set of strings. That's something that I really like, especially on my 25.5-inch J Custom Ibanez. If I'm gonna be in standard tuning on that guitar, really love the way like a balanced set of strings feel on that instrument rather than your like regular set of strings. Now, depending on the company that you go to, getting a custom set of strings or playing around with the gauge might be easier or harder. It depends on which company you go to. I have the ones that I like that make it very easy to experiment. They have very good customer support. You can reach out and see their own recommendations and pick their brains. So depending on the company that you're using, you're going to be able to get a wider range of set of strings easier or harder. So now that we're about halfway through this video, if you like it, hit like and subscribe. Helps the YouTube algorithm shine on my little channel, helps me continue to grow. I've also provided some affiliate links down below, so if you need to pick up some strings or some other products and you'd like to support me directly, that's a great way of doing it. Here on Minor Error is the creative home for everything I do musically and guitar related, which is original progressive metal music, in-depth guitar and product reviews, as well as production tip and tricks videos. If you'd like to check out my original music, it's streaming everywhere as well on Spotify and iTunes. Links are down below, also available to purchase off Bandcamp. I do also give private music lessons, so if you'd like to book a guitar lesson, a music theory lesson, or production lesson, my contact info is down below. The best time, I think, to experiment with different strings and different string gauges is when you're in the demoing stage of writing your songs. This gives you a great chance to try those different string gauges, try many different companies, and try to figure out which one is working best in a recording scenario that doesn't matter in the same way as recording the real thing will. This is also a great time to obviously experiment with different amp settings, different virtual amps if you're doing that, or different cabs or different settings on a real amp, depending on what your scenario is. But doing those little things along the way in a pre-production way before you get into the studio will really help you get the results that you want. And the strings are very attached to all of this. It's the thing that's resonating on the guitar and vibrating and creating the thing that the pickup is then picking up and the amp is amplifying. So experiment early and often when you're in the demo stage of things. So what specific string brands have I used and what would I recommend? So my go-to company that I've been using for years and have been really happy is Stringjoy cables. They are not affiliated with this video at all. I'm not getting paid to say that. That's just what I use, what I love, and I've gotten great results with them. They have fantastic customer support. So if you're not sure about a gauge of strings to either experiment with or go with a certain tuning, they are very responsive. They love to talk about different gauges and things that might help you get the results that you're looking for. I've also found the quality of their strings are very consistent from set to set, and they offer loads of different custom sets, balanced sets, basically anything you might want to do experimenting with strings, Stringjoy will help you do it. I've also used D'Addario strings for years as well. It was D'Addario that I was using when I didn't get the results I wanted on my band's first record, but I can highly recommend D'Addario's NYXL sets. The NYXLs sound great, they last a really long time. That's something I actually always liked about D'Addario strings. The NYXL sets are great. Obviously, they're going to be a little bit more expensive, which is what I'd recommend. You're going to have to spend a couple extra bucks in order to get that great tone for metal out of a string. Just the cheaper sets aren't going to get you the results that you're looking for. The cheaper sets also won't stay in tune as well, and you will probably run into some intonation problems with them. So again, if you're in a recording scenario, or even for live, spending the couple extra bucks on a really good set of strings is going to give you that foundation and really set you up for success. So that's my opinions on what I think you should look for in a great set of strings for metal. Let me know down below about what you think of my opinions or what strings you use and love. I love getting recommendations on new brands that I just haven't played before and would love to check them out.